My name is Mark Baer. You're watching YourTown television, and my guest, Laura Niedringhaus, and we're talking about Beacon House.
Hi, good morning, Mark.
Good morning. And so, just for our audience, what is Beacon House, and what's the population for this?
The Beacon House is a drug and alcohol treatment facility for men and women over the age of 18. And so we get a really wide range of demographics. People who are suffering from the disease of addiction, basically, are our typical population.
And this is local. It's not, you're not part of a chain, or so what's the history behind this?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because Beacon House will be celebrating 60 years in business.
Wow.
And Beacon House is a nonprofit. We opened the doors in 1958, and there's only one Beacon House. It's a residential treatment facility, but we do also have outpatient. And we are licensed and accredited for detox. So we do have several programs available to the community. A lot of the people that come to the Beacon House are in the community, but we also market outside of the Monterey area, and so people can find out about our program from all over. And we've even had some people from Singapore come to the Beacon House, and so we're able to help many generations of families being open for this long.
What treatments are available? What programs are available there?
The treatments start with finding out if the person needs detox, and really assessing their needs and seeing if we are the appropriate fit for our program. We do handle dual diagnosis and co-occurring disorders, and what that means is that substance abuse would have to be the primary reason that they are coming to seek treatment. But the secondary disorder could be anxiety, it can be eating disorder, it can also be insomnia, PTSD, OCD. And so once they're properly assessed and we feel that it would be a good fit, then we would have our clinical director do the okay and make sure that they're a good candidate for our program and would do well. And so residential treatment is a 30-day treatment, and we would make sure that the longer they stay in treatment, the more that they really can become stable and really understand how this disease works, because addiction is a brain disorder. And so really getting them to a place where they feel safe and can start really looking at and addressing the underlying issues underneath the addiction. So we have our residential program that is 30 to 90 days, and then we have our outpatient program, one of which is an all-day program. It's from 9 to 4, Monday through Friday, and we also have a part-time program, which would be from 9 to 12, and that can be anywhere from 3 days a week to 5 days a week. And
so what is unique about what Beacon House does as compared to other treatment centers? What sets you apart?
That's a great question, because I know that there's a lot of other treatment facilities that people can choose from. What sets us apart is the community. There's definitely a sense of community in the Pacific Grove, Monterey area, and especially with the 12-step community. Because we've been there for so long, we're the second oldest treatment facility in the United States and the first 12-step based treatment facility in the United States. And so we've helped many generations of families, especially in this community. And so what sets us apart is the history and the fact that we really incorporate sophisticated modalities that really are a very structured program, and we have a lot of support from the community, so people understand that the disease is not something that needs to be remained silent, and they embrace people who come through the program. They embrace the people who work there, and they want to be part of their recovery process, and with the family program is very important as well. And so I'd say the history and what we offer, and this is a very spiritual type of community with having a lot of beautiful environment where we live, and so we really incorporate this holistic approach to our treatment so that we can really show them a different way of living, because part of addiction is isolation. And so being out in the community, being part of the community, giving back, and really understanding that what their disease is about and educating them will definitely keep them busy once they become sober and stable.
What's your admission policies? How does that work?
When someone is assessed and determined that this would be a good fit for what they are looking for, we require a $500 bed deposit, and they can be admitted as soon as if there is a bed available. And so we are a 22-bed facility, and we are contracted with most private insurance companies. And so we definitely tell them up front what they're looking at as far as what their insurance covers and what they're looking. We like to let them know everything before it's not a rush thing where they just come into the program and then we'll figure it out. We want to talk to them, their families, we give them a tour, and we tell them everything prior to them being admitted. And so there are no secrets, and they can just get well. They can just go in there and be well. And what we usually have when they come in is a 7-day blackout period from any communication with people. There are phones available in the house for them to use, but they are not able to, let's say, they cannot use those phones for a week. And when they come into the house, we take their cell phones for the time they're in residential. So that would be 30 days typically. And so once they come into the program, it's very structured, like I had said, and there's a lot of work to do. And so the admissions process is pretty seamless once they determine that this is the right place for them. And it's done in a very professional and loving way, so that it's not just they're not caught off guard and surprised all of a sudden.
So one of the other things that strikes me as very interesting is you have these experiential programs.
Thank you for asking, because our experiential programs are really very popular with the residents, but it's also unknown why we would do that in a clinical setting. And one of the things that we find very helpful is to have balance, not only in our life, even if you don't have this disease, but really understanding how to incorporate real life experiences once you get out of treatment. So once a month, they are exposed to some amazing type of experientials that the Beacon House offers. One of which is the newest experiential is our waterboard sport, which incorporates surfing, waterboarding, and they are taken by an alumni who is actually a surf pro, a retired surf pro from Santa Cruz, Daryl Verscato, and he doesn't mind me saying so, but he is also someone who has been very supportive of the Beacon House, and he works with a clinical psychologist, or actually, I'm sorry, he's a LCSW, which is a social worker locally, and they go and they take the residents out and really getting on the surfboards. We give them the wetsuits, and they really are able to fellowship, but also enjoy things that they might have at one time enjoyed in their life, being out in the water, or perhaps just getting outside and doing things that they have never done before. So that's one of the programs that's been very popular, because we have amazing beaches in this area and a really wonderful team of people who help with this experiential. And then we also have the Equine Therapy, and what they do is they go to an amazing Carmel Valley ranch that we have access to, and they really get to see how the horses are very intuitive, and so they pick up what's going on inside us. And so it's really about explaining how it's setting boundaries, and whatever we're putting out there, the horses are going to pick up. They're very sensitive. And so it's really a learning process, and because we have a facilitator out there who explains this, they're out there really understanding that whatever is going on, people are going to pick up that, and how to really start setting better boundaries for themselves. Another component that we use is the golf therapy, and people don't understand how that would be something that we would use in treatment, but it all goes back to the fundamentals of the 12 steps and becoming mindful of your thoughts and slowing the process down of your swing, since golf is such a mental sport. But it's really enjoying the outdoors, fellowshipping with one of our facilitators, and being outside and experiencing what else is out there in life, and perhaps finding a hobby. Birding is another really popular experiential that we do. And all of this is really helpful for mindfulness, since mindfulness is something that is very important when people get newly sober and stable, because it's really thinking about how you are processing information, and you're learning new information, you're learning about your disease, but then you're learning how to look at it from a different lens.
There's so much shame that goes with addiction, and this
Yes.
is a way of breaking that cycle.
Absolutely.
So people who pass through the program, do they stay in touch with the house? Do they, as alumni, I guess, and is there a, like a follow-up, or how does this work with people who pass through, and what's becomes their future relationship with Beacon House, I should say?
Well, we would love to stay in touch with them forever. They're friends of ours, and we have a wonderful alumni program that a lot of the meetings that we have once a month at the Beacon House, so people can come back in the carriage house. The carriage house is where a lot of the magic happens. And we have also a lot of, let's say, holiday parties and events where people can come together again. And so we do encourage them to keep coming back. What we offer for not only the individual, but also the family, is the support of aftercare after a resident leaves treatment, and they're able to come back with a facilitator from Beacon House and really touch base with what's going on, what are some of the things coming up, how we can be supportive to them, and just really connected with them. And so that's offered once a week, and we are really, we'd love to be able to still stay in touch with some of the people who come through the program. So we do follow up with them every the 60-day program. I mean, we have a follow-up in 60 days and also 6 months and a year, where we have a clinician from our staff follow up to see how they're doing and encourage them to come back and be part of our program in the aftercare or in the alumni meetings.
So let's just talk about, you mentioned the carriage house. Let's just talk about Beacon House itself as a structure. It's part of the preservation registry here, is it not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so the Beacon House is on the historic registry, and we have been, it's over 100 years old. So anyone who's been to the Beacon House will realize that it's a beautiful architectural gem in the community, and many people have driven by it and seen it. And so there's original stained glass throughout the house still, and all the original furniture. And it was donated in 1962 to the Beacon House, which is a nonprofit. And so there is a rich history that really ties into the overall feel of what's special about it, which was how it all came about. And Marty Mann, who was the first woman documented in Alcoholics Anonymous, was very influential in bringing the Beacon House to the community. She felt there was a need, and through very influential people in the neighborhood, they wanted to bring a residential treatment facility that was that has stood the test of time and it has been in the community, like I said before, since 1958. And so what we are really trying to do is alleviate the shame and remove the stigma of seeking help from drugs and alcohol and from addiction, and doing that, and mental illness, because many people come into the program and you don't really know what is going on with them and what has been, they haven't been sleeping, they haven't been eating right, they haven't been taking care of themselves, and so they are presenting as something that it just takes time to really observe them and assess them, and that's where our clinicians step in and we're able to stabilize them and see what's really going on underneath all of that. And so a new person emerges, and I think that's where the Beacon House has really found a lot of success in the programs, that family members and community members are able to witness this transformation. And so they do it themselves, but we give them the tools to stay connected and find connection and community through sobriety, and how to look at things in a different way of how to see things differently, how to think differently. And all of that takes time. It's not a quick fix. It's something, the longer they can stay connected to program or connected to other people who are seeking the same, the more chance they have of a happier life and a more stable environment.
So if you find yourself, I want to close on this idea. When you find yourself in the situation of addiction, what can you tell people to get to you sooner than later?
Making a phone call. We have a lot of information online at www.beaconhouse.org, and we have a wonderful staff of admissions team who can help you with getting you someplace that would help you and encourage you. And so making a phone call, I think that fear is, there's a lot of fear-based.
Fear. Let's talk about that fear. What have you learned about that over the years, and what do you do to?
You walk through it anyways. And that's where you act your way into better thinking. It's not going to, if you wait until you think differently, it's never going to happen. So you do it anyways. And I think that's when you realize you're stronger than you might realize, because you're just taking action. So one step, it could be a family member. We get a lot of family members that are calling and educating yourself on this disease, knowing that this person is stuck and knowing that what needs to be done instead of waiting for something tragic to happen, which is usually the case, because people don't walk in on their own happy-go-lucky. They're usually a lot of times in crisis.
Right. It gets to, because I think if you can get there before the crisis, that will save a lot of.
It's a chronic disease.
Yes.
Yeah, and it will not get better.
Yes. So you don't hit the wall first.
No, and you know, people, when you're stuck and you're in denial, you're expecting something to happen. And really what needs to happen is getting more information. And we have a lot of resources, even if we're not the place that you're looking for, the right fit, but we're happy to help you in any way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I'm with Laura Niedringhaus. We're talking about Beacon House. If you suffer from addiction, do it sooner than later.
Yes.
Ring them up, find out.
Yes, call Beacon House and we'd be happy to help you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye.